Welcome to Let's Humanize the Workplace. I think this is the 32nd episode of Let's Humanize the Workplace. And my name is Vivian Acquah, the Workplace Wellness Advocate. And I'm doing this broadcast just to show some inspiration, but also just to show some inspiring guests to talk about how we all can humanize the workplace, especially now where we all need each other, where we all need the employees, but also the employers to connect and unite together so that we can go through these challenging periods. So my name is Vivian Acquah, the Workplace Wellness Advocate. And if you would like to share, or if you would just like to connect with people or just tag people within this post, be my guest, know that you're more than welcome to ask your questions during this episode. And what I normally do is I am going to check on LinkedIn and see if everything is working. So just give me a second. I can see that something is live. Yes. If you would like to share. Sorry, and I also can see that a few people are watching. So if you're watching, you want to shout out, just let me know so that I can give you a shout out. And know that you can follow this broadcast on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Facebook. So just let me know where you're from. I'm currently broadcasting from Amsterdam, and my guest speaker is from the States. And I will leave it up to her to share where she's from, right? But before I start with her, I want to share something about the kindness that I'm seeing at the moment. So I'm going to highlight the kindness acts that I'm seeing during this COVID lockdown. Starbucks. I'm going to give my kudos to Starbucks because working from home, working with a child, working with maybe your caregiver or caretaker of your parents or family members, it can be challenging. And if you don't know how to deal with that, it can also be exhausting, and it can also be challenging for your mental state. And that's why your mental well-being. And that's why I want to give kudos to Starbucks for providing their employees, but in the US. I hope they also do that abroad, like in Europe or in other states. But first of all, I just want to say my kudos to Starbucks for setting an example and providing their employees in the US mental health care, right? Mental health benefits, but also not only their employees, but also their family members. So it goes beyond that, because once, if you're affected in your mental well-being, it can also be affected. It can also reflect towards your family members. So if you're a Starbucks employee, know that this is out there, and I hope that other companies are following, because this situation that we are all in can be challenging. And if you don't have the right tools or don't have the right support, it can definitely have a strain on your mental well-being and other aspects in your well-being. So again, my kudos to Starbucks. I was also talking about with the guest speaker about gratitude, how gratitude is so important for now. So I found this post. I think I found this post on Facebook, and I can't remember it anywhere, but I try to do this on a daily basis with my partner, with my son, to just share what we are grateful for that day. And I am grateful for the fact that my family members are alive and well. I'm grateful for that we have each other, and I'm grateful for the valuable time that we're spending with each other. So try to look towards the positive things that this lockdown has given you, and also try to remind yourself the gratitude that you have in your life, because Lyssa Adkins already shared that gratitude builds your resilience, and I'm going to ask her more information about this, because she is a role model, and I look up to her. And I only met her just once, and after that, I've been following her on LinkedIn and on Twitter, of course, but she has so much inspiring things to share regarding this topic. So if you want to learn more about gratitude, note that it's very easy to start. You only have to look in the positive things and look into what you're grateful for, and make it a daily habit, make it a family habit, or make it a family thing, so that everybody can share what they're grateful for. For me, it gives me hope. It's positive, and it fills my heart with so much joy. So I'm grateful for my family and for the time that we're spending together. And also, I'm grateful for that I've been with my partner for 10 years. I know it's outside of LinkedIn, but we had to celebrate this event this weekend, and we were planning to go outside, spend some time alone without our son. But I'm happy that we still managed to spend, some time for ourselves, but also spend some time with our son and celebrate our 10-year relationship. So I'm grateful for that. The next thing that I wanted to share was, a lot of people are struggling with the fact that they are working remotely because they are not accustomed to. And I found out this research from Buffer and AngelList, and this was prepared before the COVID lockdown. Note that if your people are not accustomed to working, from a distance, or not accustomed to working from home, especially when they have other challenges at home, provide them the tools, provide them enough material, but also stay in touch with them so that they know that they are part of the company, and so that they know that they are not alone dealing with this challenge. So with no further ado, I want to bring up my guest speaker, Lyssa, and I'm going to highlight her in the solo mode, where I'm going to share some kind words about Lyssa. So Lyssa Adkins is a coach, facilitator, teacher, and inspirer. She loves it when a group sings, and I want to know about what kind of song are they singing in a group. She focuses on improving the performance of top leadership teams through insightful facilitation and organization systems coaching, helping them to unknot difficult multi-department impediments in her definition of happy. Welcome, Lyssa.
Thank you. Thank you. My parents named me an interesting name. Mm-hmm. And I think it's an indication of what I'm supposed to do in my whole life, which is all around conflict. Because I have the issue that when someone pronounces my name the way it's spelled, I have to then ask myself, am I going to say how my name really is pronounced? So
did I say it right? Did I say it right?
You said it phonetically correctly, okay, but not how my parents named me. It is spelled Lyssa or Lyssa, but it's pronounced Lisa. Oh. So there you go. No worries.
Lisa. From now on, I've learned.
It happens all the time, and I think that I really honor you, Vivian. I don't want anything to be between us. I think that's an important thing these days.
Nothing between us. Only love and the connection, right? So
that's right.
Starting off with the first question, what is your connection with humanizing the workplace?
I've been in the Agile coaching space for about 10 or 12 years now. 14 years as an Agilist overall, but I guess I'm most well known for Agile coaching and for helping Agile coaches get the skills they need. And here's why. We all found out that we were human all at the same time in the workplace, and it didn't necessarily go all that smoothly. When not everyone works in an Agile way, but when people do work in an Agile way, we put these small teams of people together. We put them immediately in touch with the business people who need something built, and then we sort of shake and stir and hope it goes well.
Yeah.
And for it to go well, oftentimes people need to learn ways of relating. I just saw that the biggest 20%, the biggest issue with working remotely is communication and collaboration, right?
Well, isn't that the deal breaker with everything that is that we are challenged with, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was the biggest one in person too. Yeah. So I mean, not a big surprise there. And I think we are in a time that we just can't ignore. This time is going to shift us and shift the way we think about work.
Yeah.
I think this is a time when pretty much every human being is going to know what it's like to experience anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
even
And
those people who haven't.
Yeah.
before.
And that's a very interesting point that you bring up, because there is this stigma regarding people who are challenged with their mental well-being, whereas from now on, I hope that this stigma will disappear, because everybody has been through this stage at the moment, right? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And plenty of people do this thing where they say, well, just buck up or compartmentalize your feelings or whatever. And that we know leads to mental illness later.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just now or later, which one do you want?
Yeah.
And it's not, it's now we have the chance to not become ill from it, to be able to learn how to process anxiety as it's happening. And so I think it's, on one hand, I want to say there's going to be a silver lining from this. And on the other hand, I just want to immerse ourselves in the fact that we have just passed 755,000 worldwide cases of COVID-19. And I don't know about you, but I've been watching these numbers pretty frequently. And I notice in myself that when I hit refresh on my browser, I'm guessing what the number is going to be, and I'm hoping it's not as bad as I'm thinking, and it's almost always higher than that.
Yeah.
Although in math class my mind could understand exponential curves, I find that my body and my emotions don't.
True.
So I think it's important for us to immerse ourselves in this moment and not move away from it too quickly.
Yeah.
With tips or tricks or whatever. So, I mean, do you mind doing that for a moment with me?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, and for everyone else out there, just come along with us for a moment. Let's just imagine that there are at least 755,000 people and their families and their communities, and probably many more than that, who are suffering right now. And as you imagine that, I don't know about you, but I can already feel my body tensing up. Yeah. Where is it for you, Vivian?
For me, it's the sadness. It's the sadness that we could have done so much from learning from this experience. I blame myself in a way that it was a problem that happened in China, and it didn't affect me until it practically, in this country. And I felt from now on that I never should have that ostrich behavior where I put my head in the sand, because you never know what can happen to you. And I don't want to scare myself, but I am cautious about what happened to me. And I feel also some anger towards leaders, towards scientists, that there was a virus before COVID, right? There was SARS.
Right.
And that could have also gotten beyond borders, but it stayed within China. So I learned from that situation, like, is the media showing us the truth? Is the media telling us the truth? And I still have the same thing now. But I also know that a lot of people have lost their family members, and what are we doing towards them? And now, especially now, is the time to show humanity. So I almost wanted to change. Let's humanize the world instead of the workplace, because I feel like we need each other right now.
I think you're
definitely
right.
need. Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And the places your mind is going, and how fast your mind is going from one to the next to the next, is a really common thing when faced with something overwhelming like this. I know I have certainly felt that. And like, I went to the grocery store for my family and for my parents this morning, and I got to tell you, the grocery store is just weird. There's a weird feeling there. We're sort of all afraid to be near each other for no reason. The shelves are empty in certain parts of the grocery store, which makes me really sort of like, get the feeling of, oh my gosh, something really horrible is happening, right? And so I'm aware as we're talking about this, and as I sort of call up my experience this morning at the grocery store, that my entire abdomen is has like a rock in it. And so I'm just noticing that. And for any of you out there, and for Vivian also, as you're noticing where your mind goes, do this. Notice where your body goes. Because a lot of what we're dealing with right now cannot be processed logically, but it can be processed through the body. Yeah.
And what would you recommend for those who are feeling some tension? Because I can imagine that us doing or you doing this exercise right now can leave some tension. What can people do to...
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's just do it live. And so I'll do it with you.
Yeah.
And with everyone else out there. So so that you don't get an anxiety buildup. When you notice your mind is racing and you feel fear, or you feel anything else that feels like an overwhelm, then just stop the thoughts. Go ahead and do that right now, everyone. Stop the thoughts and notice, where does my body feel constricted? For me, it's in my stomach, right below my rib cage. Notice where that is for you, and just breathe into it. And here's the thing that I learned recently, is that emotions are simply energy in motion. If we let them move through, when we let them get stuck, that's when we have difficulty in our lives. So just notice whatever this is for you. Label it fear, anxiety, anger, whatever it is coming up for you, and just let it be there and breathe. We're going to breathe for 5 breaths. And as you're breathing, just notice if it changes a little bit. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. For me, my stomach isn't that tight balloon anymore. It's a little softer. And you might find that in yourself. And now what, Vivian, you call the zebra shake? Yeah? So, like an animal shakes it off in the wild when it's been chased by a lion or something. Yeah. So just that. Acknowledge what is located in your body, breathe through it, and shake it off. And then for me right now, like noticing that in this very moment, I am safe. Don't know what the future holds, but in this very moment right now, I am safe. And if you can say that to yourself, say that to yourself.
You have a digital hug from Karen Bronze. I wanted to share that with you. So thank you, Karen, for sharing the hugs.
Yeah. I know Karen from our Agile Coaching Institute classes. Yeah. Great to see you.
Regarding how to lead with Agile at the moment, what would you share what managers could use right now?
Well, the basic ideas of Agile, whether or not you're using Agile in your workplace, are pretty darn useful right now. I mean, here in a nutshell, it's this: decide what matters, work on what matters, and close the loop on the rest.
Yeah.
Just put it aside for now. Focus is one of the core values of Scrum, which is one of the main Agile frameworks that's used in the world. Focus is important. And focus is a way of working with overwhelm. And I think during a global challenge like COVID, one of the most important things we could do is to work with our physical states for managers and for other people, anyone, everyone in the workplace, to notice when their nervous system is a bit activated. Notice when they think other people's nervous systems might be a bit activated, and do something like we just did. Now, we're not necessarily going to be in the same physical space for a while, but that doesn't mean we can't do this.
Yeah. I mean, social isolation doesn't mean that we have to, or sorry, is it? Yeah, social isolation doesn't mean that you have to socially disconnect.
That's right.
We're even connecting now with each other.
Absolutely.
And I feel lighter after you doing the exercise. So I love what you did. Yeah.
I hadn't realized how much I was still holding in my body from the grocery store 4 hours ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? Yeah, that's the thing. These things will build up. And so like maybe a pro tip at this point is, start every online meeting with everyone taking 10 breaths together, or everyone doing a zebra shake, or just asking the question, how are you really?
Yeah.
I think that it's useful for us to build up our resilience right now.
Definitely.
I'm living in the United States. I am aware that I am about to see a wave of death happen. And I don't know how I'm going to work with that, honestly.
Yeah.
But I do know that I can attend to my physical, emotional, mental, spiritual state. I can attend to those states.
Yeah.
And my practice right now, honestly, is letting it all come in and letting it all flow through me and not get stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do believe so too. And especially for those who, what we're dealing right now, I'm born in the 80s, and it's weird that my son is facing this as a child. But then again, I feel like the world has prepared us for this moment so that we have the tools to stay connected. It's not war. It's not that we have to hide for people. The only thing is that we have to turn inwards and build upon that connection, and at least reach out to people so that we let them know that we are there for them, but also let them know that we need help. And if you need help, ask for help, because now is the time that people can be there for you, can support you whenever you need.
Yep. In our neighborhood, I live in a small neighborhood. It only has 35 houses in it.
Yeah.
But I only know like 4 neighbors. And we see each other, we wave, but and we have a potluck once a year. It tends to be at my house, and everyone says, "Oh, we should do this more often." And somehow it never happens until next year. I get sort of like, "Okay, I'm going to do it again." Well, my friend and I down the street about 2 weeks ago decided to create a WhatsApp group, and we put a flyer on everyone's mailbox, and we said, we're going to potentially need each other. Now, this was 2 weeks ago when a lot more Americans were like, "Oh, this is such an overreaction." Da, 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 da. Well, now we're getting to the point where we might literally need one another. And I think it is super important to, I was nervous to put that flyer on people's mailboxes. People are like so insular, and their nuclear families are so tight, and they just stay in their homes. And I felt like, who am I to intrude on people's thought process with this? But then I thought, we might get down to something way more basic here. And the way more basic thing is that someone might be shut in their house sick and not be able to go out and get something to eat.
Yes. Yeah.
And if we were connected, I or someone else could do that. And my goodness, if my husband and I get sick, or one of us gets sick, and we quarantine this whole house, we're not even going out for food anymore, we're going to need people.
Yeah.
In fact, I will need people to go get groceries from my parents who live 10 minutes down the street. So there's a way in which we might be able to I don't want to say rebuild, because I don't feel like building what we had before is necessarily the best advancement.
Maybe reconnect,
Yeah,
or
like
introduce yourself.
or reimagine what community can be.
Yeah.
And it's not only in my physical neighborhood, it's what we're doing right now. And all these people that have joined us today, this is a community.
Yeah.
So many of our communities are online for those of us who are in this sort of work, in white collar jobs, online work. So we can stay connected. We can ask for help. I love how you said ask for help. I think we're sort of afraid to ask for help, and maybe that's going to become a super skill.
That's a good thing, because not a lot of people are used to asking for help, but also not a lot of people are. I come from a family where you did everything with the family, you did everything with the elders, and everybody's helping each other. So the proverb, it takes a village to raise a child, it was literally there. But ever since my parent moved from towards the Netherlands, and I've been born and raised here, there is a different vibe. Whereas I'm going back to Ghana, I feel like everybody there is my auntie, everybody there is my uncle, and they are, because they look after each other as a big family. And we need some kind of parts from that back to reconnect with society. So the example that you shared, creating a WhatsApp group, creating a group where you stay connected with each other, it's a good example for you to connect, and even create a Facebook group if that's working better, right? Whatever group you want to create, as long as you know that you're not alone and that you have support.
Yeah. I think that's a really important thing. I think that this, I'm so aware of my privilege, because I get to actually take the pause that I feel like Mother Nature has thrown our way.
Yeah.
I don't have to go stock shelves in the grocery store to feed my family.
Yeah.
For example, and as I said, to the grocery store this morning, every single person I passed who was working, I would just said, "Thank you very much. Thank you very much." I started saying it inwardly, because they got a little bit tired of me saying outwardly, because they don't necessarily want to be there.
Yeah, I understand that.
And at the same time, without them there, like they are the heroes of society for me right now. The people who are stocking the shelves in the grocery store, and the people who are working with the people who are sick. These are the jobs that are the least paid in our society, and now these are the most important people to me ever. And I think that something like that is worth noticing. It's like, as we go through this time together, and we're starting to notice how the old systems didn't work very well, I really, really hope we don't just catapult or boomerang ourselves back into those old systems.
And that we change the way we respect them. We change the way that we look upon them, because here in the Netherlands, the teachers have been pleading for more pay for what the burden that they are carrying, right? And I myself as a parent, I know the burden that they carry times 30 within one class. And I'm just like, okay, the first day that my son is going to school, the teachers there I will giving them a gift box saying thank you, saying I love you, saying everything that I should have said, because I feel in a way I took them for granted, and now I know that I have to support the teachers in my way. So if Orlando's teachers watching, know that I'll be doing this definitely, for sure. So going back to I know that we shifted a bit, and it's needed for this COVID reaction, but how can, maybe this, in the meantime, how can managers lead their team from good to great?
I think managers need to just chill out right now. I think we all need to just chill out right now. The idea that we want to push ourselves from good to great, or even from better to better to better right now, is going against the grain of what's happening. So I've heard.
Thank you for sharing that. Can you? Sorry to be. No, I want you to reshare that again, please. Can you share that? Please share that chill out, because I am receiving so many messages of employees that are being not attacked, but being, asked by their managers or directors that business is as usual. Well, business isn't as usual.
For what, I ask. So if I have a dear friend, he's an Agile coach, he's working with a COVID-19 response team. Okay. Yeah. Like they, and even they though are like, we're not going back to the way we were working before. Even though they're under tremendous pressure now, they're paying much more attention to wellness. They're supporting each other in new ways. So even they. So if what you're doing is creating a credit card offer, or like, what the hell are we doing, people?
Yeah.
I mean, I really want to ask the question: why are we trying to keep business as usual right now? Something new is actually trying to be born, and if we hold still long enough, just long enough, we might glimpse what it is. And so,
Are you angry? What are you feeling? Are you angry? Are you sad? Are you?
No. Thank you for asking. I'm just actually thinking, like, what is the most useful place to take this? And so let me ask you a question. Am I angry or am I sad? I'm energized. I'm energized, and I'm energized for us to do something that takes more energy than we're used to, which is sitting still.
Yeah.
I mean, just sit still. The number of people who've told me that this automatic thrust to being online is worse than being in the workplace is astronomical.
True.
People are saying things like, I'm on back-to-back video conferencing meetings. Like, it's worse. It's worse than what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where the principles of Agile can come back into play. Like, what are we actually doing?
Yeah.
And what needs to be done right now?
And also the way we are holding our meetings, right? Is it necessary to have that discussion? And is it necessary? I feel like people are being kidnapped if a meeting or a conversation is taking longer than 1 hour, especially when you're doing something that is out of your comfort. You have to see that you're taking up maybe twice or maybe 3 times or maybe 4 times, quadruple the energy of just doing a 1 hour conference.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that there are enough people who have strong virtual facilitation skills that we can help those interactions not be as bad as what you're talking about. But I think a lot of them really are.
Yeah.
I think people are being held hostage, especially like some of these demands, like, turn on your camera. You don't even feel like you can take a sip of water, Okay, I'm going to take a sip of water right now, by the way.
Do that. No, it feels like for some people, it feels like they are imprisoned, and it's just like you're feeling a bit bad for just going downstairs, while in the workplace, you're walking around, you're taking your coffee, you're having a chat with your colleague, you're moving around, or at least I went outside for a walk, and now we're constricted in our own 4 walls. So,
I think the 4 walls makes a difference. I think that we have to recognize people are dealing with working from home. Many people have children at home. The move to online schooling has been incredibly challenging for many families.
But isn't it so that on homeschooling, it's much more normal in the States than here? Here we don't homeschooling. What are you saying? It's not fitting our policy. So no. But now all of a sudden, our teachers are now forced to homeschool. Even I'm part-time doing this, but I'm also a teacher during the day because I'm helping my son out as a teacher.
Yeah. So, I mean, this has the chance to rewire lots of things. So, although that is a difficult moment for the transition to online learning, think about the interactivity that could be possible between parents and teachers when we have this sort of this shakeup that we're in the middle of. So that's an example of something that can get rewired and can come out maybe much more positive even after this. I hope so.
I like the positive outcome, but what I learned also today is not every family is has the means to have a computer, to have a tablet for each child.
Yep.
Not every family sees connectivity as a necessary item to have to maintain their family, right? Because they are maybe have a minimal income where they need to sustain themselves, and having Wi-Fi, it's not part of their basic
That's right.
needs. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's in the United States, a tremendous number of children get their food from school.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And those lunches and breakfasts and whatnot are now being served in a different way in many places, not all places. But there was a moment in time when the school system said, these kids can't think if they don't have fuel in their bodies.
Yeah, true.
And so that will be a similar thing with Wi-Fi and technology and whatnot. At some point we'll say, how can we have all of our children working
Connected.
from the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, let me just say, that's so easy for me to say. I am a white woman with a really hardworking blue-collar family that somehow catapulted her into a white-collar job where she's now a business owner. I'm not worried about paying my mortgage for the next few months. I'm not worried about where my food is coming from. So everything I'm saying is from that place. I really need to locate myself there.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I also wanted to bring in Tina. She mentioned a good idea to say thanks to everybody. We have been taking that for granted. And Kimo is saying, I love the passion in this conversation. So thank you, Lyssa.
Great to hear from you both. I love that you're bringing their voices in, Vivian.
Yes, of course.
Awesome.
Of course. Without them, there was no show. So
yeah.
What else because I feel like I have to let go of my script. Is there something else that that we need to discuss during this whole situation? Because I wanted to talk about feminine leadership. Is that something that we need right now?
Well, maybe. I think maybe where I'm thinking we could go would move into that. But how many more minutes do we have, Vivian? Let's make that little time box plan.
We have about, let's say it's 30-ish, so we have about 10 minutes, but we can go over.
Okay.
15 minutes. So
all right. Let's say 10-ish minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I have been receiving so many amazing things that people are sharing.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are poems that were written a while ago. Some of them poems or prose that were written just in the last couple of weeks. And so there's a part of this one that I want to share that I think will take us in a potentially interesting direction for where we are right now, where we find ourselves. It's from Emma Zeck. It's a longer thing.
It's the one that you shared with me, right? You shared a poem with me.
I did. I did.
And I loved it.
I had forgotten that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what she's talking about is, I'm just going to read this piece. Observe this pause. And this is my little side note for those of us who are privileged enough to take a pause. Observe this pause as an opportunity. The same systems we see crumbling in society are being called to crumble in each of us individually. The systems that taught us we are machines that live to produce and we are disposable if we are not doing so. The systems that taught us monetary gain takes priority over humanity. The systems that create our insecurities and then capitalize off of them. What you can do instead is observe this pause as an opportunity.
I love it.
So that's what I'm up to. I'm up to exactly what she suggested. Like, what are the things, the presumptions, the assumptions I'm not even aware of? What are the things I operate on that are being called to crumble?
Yeah.
And this is a scary place to go, but this is actually where yin energy takes us.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about yin energy, there's yin and yang energy. This is borrowing from the Taoists of China. Yin energy takes us into the dark place that at first we want to ignore. But it's in that dark place where the next thing is waiting to be born.
Mm-hmm.
You think about planting a seed, it goes in the soil into the dark for a really long time. Yeah. And something new eventually pops up out of the ground. And so I think that is the gift of the yin energy in leadership right now, is to not run around aimlessly moving from A to B as if it really mattered.
I love that one. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
But to notice, where were we headed? And is that where we want to be headed?
Mm-hmm.
I know that I don't want to be headed where we were headed before.
Yeah. And also keep sanity, right? Because anxiety can be passed upon others. And I see fear and I see anger within some of the communication that employees are getting. They're forwarding towards me and they're getting me, and I'm not going to name names, but I see fear and anger. And even there was a sentence where somebody shared that we still have to remain productive. We still have to be billable. And I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, for what?
Yeah.
For an institution that was crumbling anyway.
Yeah.
So, boy, but isn't that scary? Just even me saying that, even though I've been thinking about that for a long time, just saying it creates that fear, hardness in my gut again, like I had at the beginning of this. And so you're right that fear is contagious, and it can be capitalized on, just like the notion of humans being machines got capitalized on, right? And so I think our job, each one of us, is to process our own fear so that we don't spread it around, because it's for sure worse than this virus.
Yeah. I also got reminded of, you were sharing a quote, and I also got reminded from Astrid Klaassen, if you're watching, shout out. She shared a video of Martin Luther King, and I wanted to share something that he said in his speech, that in a real sense, all life is interrelated. All men are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. And what struck me the most was, whatever affects one directly, it affects all indirectly. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. And I can never be what you ought to be until I am what I ought to be. This is the interrelated structure of reality, Martin Luther King Jr. And I was like, I played this video over and over and over and over. And it strikes me that something he shared ages ago is so actual for now, for us to remain connected and remain doing things for our community instead of doing solo actions and thinking only about our best interests.
Yeah. I think that we've known as human beings for a long time that we are interconnected.
Yeah.
I think that when we get scared, we start to pretend like we're not.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it go away. We're still all interconnected.
Yeah.
I mean, how could we doubt it now?
Yeah.
How could we possibly doubt our interconnectedness now? I mean, there's another poem that says we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. How could we doubt that now?
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing is that we don't have to pretend like there's only one pie. And the entire job is to get as much pie as possible stuffed into our faces.
Yeah. What weird example.
Isn't that weird?
I was very visual. It's just like, okay, all these pie coming up towards us.
Yeah, I can imagine these people with like huge jowls and just like a bunch of pie stuffed in their faces. But that's how ugly it actually does get.
True.
I mean, and so yes, of course. Like I keep wondering, like, how are we going to reestablish economies after this?
Yeah.
I mean,
we will and we can, and we have before, so.
I know we can, but I hope we don't go back to the same metrics.
Yeah, true.
Because if we do, we're just going to recapitulate the same system that creates us all as machines that has a manager send to people a note that says, hey, people, you still need to be billable. Let's produce here.
Yeah. I hope that we take out, the good things that that people are showing right now, but also the good in companies. Like I have seen positive things like what I shared before regarding Starbucks, but also seen positive things like Shopify, where they give their people a 10,000, not 10,000, 1,000 fee bonus to just do something, design their home office, right? So there are companies out there that are showing and demonstrating that they take better care of their employees. So that's the only way to go, right?
Well, I mean, we can go the other way, but I'm hoping that is not sustainable for very much longer.
Yeah.
There's this wonderful woman, Lynn Twist, and she wrote this book called The Soul of Money. It's been out for a long time, but I reread it recently. It's been one of my important books in my life. And she says the job of our time is to hospice the death of structures that no longer serve.
I love that one.
And like a hospice worker, with all due care and love and reverence and respect for what has been given, but also not holding on to it. Because I think about what I would say an over preoccupation with producing has gotten us. It's gotten us what we're doing right now. We wouldn't be on this video call, on this 3 different platforms, you getting input from all kinds of people all over the world, live, were it not for the desire to strive, that drive, that get more, that invent, that create, that more. Just that we hit the wall of it, and then it became an unhealthy preoccupation.
True.
That's how I view it. And so there are institutions that, along with that, probably are in the process of dying. And I hope that I am compassionate and kind enough to hospice that death.
That's nicely put. And it also brings me to the final question that I have for you. What is your wish for 2025 when it comes to humanizing the workplace and leadership development, or whatever it is that you're seeing?
That's only 5 years away.
No.
It's less than 5 years away now.
A lot has happened in these 3 months, or in these 4 months, right?
So like, I have a 22-year-old daughter, and she says, Mom, if you're planning more than 3 days ahead right now, you're probably wasting your energy.
Yeah, true.
And I think that is so. I mean, the job right now is to stay in the moment and to see what's trying to emerge. I was, one of the things I was doing to work with my own fear and anxiety was stream of consciousness writing. And I did it right before we got on the call here. Yeah. And one of the things I wrote there was like, who would have thought? I was so excited about the beginning of this new year and the beginning of a new decade. Like, a new decade. It's so cool. I'm so excited about the new decade. Who would have thought that we're going to be in the middle of this? And then as soon as my pen finished writing those words, the next words that came were, but how else do you start something new?
Yeah. There's a lesson that we need to learn from this situation. So I totally agree with what you shared. But the first 3 days, I was in denial. I was also sad for losing so many good opportunities. But I was also looking towards what I shared, right, with gratitude, and seeing what I do have instead of what I don't have. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know if I put my wish list out there for 2025, I would say we have reorganized our economic activity to be oriented toward producing value instead of just producing.
Yeah.
And that we reorganize our workplaces around what matters.
Be more mindful as well.
Yeah.
I have somebody who commented, Bernie Maya. I don't know if you know her.
No.
As a manager right now, all I see is the need to be compassionate to myself and to my people. So thank you, Bernie, for sharing that with me. We have another comment I see. Okay, Karen Bruns. What I'm finding interesting in my coaching practice is people are having trouble to staying in the moment. They found themselves planning ahead so that they don't have to deal with the here and now. Yeah.
What we're dealing with is so overwhelming. And even for the person in the most denial, I believe what's going on is that we are understanding we are in a moment of existential risk. That we actually could take a turn for the worse as the human species here. People are facing their mortality. People will do almost anything not to face their mortality. Right? And so what Karen is saying about helping her clients stay in the here and now when their mind wants to go elsewhere, I think it's going to be that way for a while. And I think it's so important to stay in the moment. Because
it will also put a new definition into mindfulness, whereas a lot of people were hesitant or weren't that positive towards being mindful or seeing mindfulness as a way of mumbo jumbo, whereas we find, at least mindfulness for me, is a way to build my resilience, is a way to build upon myself, but it's also a way for me not to go to that anxiety part.
That's right. Or process it faster. Go there and process it faster so it doesn't get all over everyone else. I think mindfulness is going to be like just a no-brainer coming out of this. People
Definitely.
Well, yeah, of course I need to do that. Like, it's just like, I guess there was a time in history when people didn't think brushing their teeth was important.
You mentioned that.
So of course, when you brush our teeth, we have to do it, frequently. Once a day, twice a day, how many times a day you do it, but definitely frequently. And the same thing with processing our anxiety, the same thing with being mindful. It's a constant thing. You did it right if you did it. And just because it builds up again doesn't mean you did it wrong. You just got to do it again, process it again. Begin again.
I want to thank you, Lyssa, for being my guest in this very unscripted interview, but I had so much, I'm not saying fun, I enjoyed, and it was very inspiring to see you from this way and to listen to you from this way. And I want to close up, but please wait just a few minutes. I want to close up so that we at least I can share with the viewers who the next guest speaker is, and also I would like to have a chat with you afterwards. So for the listeners, for those of you who are watching, upcoming Thursday, I'm going to do a live session in Dutch. There is the next English session will be next week, would be about employer branding. And upcoming Thursday will be with Eileen Out about Pretty in Business. She's the lady, or she's the blogger behind prettybusiness.nl. And I'm going to talk with her about work attire, work business casual, and a lot of good examples about business clothes. And I also have something to share that I am going to do a remote or a virtual session, Pump Up the Jam at work, for you to boost your mood during work. I'm going to do that very soon. I'm going to create some announcements. So if you have any questions, just let me know at info@vivalaviv.com so that I can help you, or at least let you know when the date is going to be. It will be a webinar. And last but not least, I want to thank you. I want to thank Lyssa, but I also want to thank all the listeners and the viewers who participated in this conversation. And if you are team replay, let me know what you think about this interview, but also let me know if you have something to share, a story to share. I will try to highlight it the next time. And thank you for watching, and please stay safe. Please stay safe. Bye.